I cannot hear myself speaking. Can you hear me speaking, Lorraine? Nope. You can hear me?
We got you, Darlene.
Okay, thank you. I can hear you. I just can't hear myself. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I just can't hear me, but I can hear them. I'm okay. Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 6:31. Striking my gavel. Will the clerk please call the roll?
McGuire. Michaels.
I'm gonna wait, I'm unmuting. All right, you guys can speak up for this part. We don't have to raise hands. You can raise hands if you want to, or you can just speak up if you want to.
For me, it's going to be better if everybody does the audio as opposed to raising of hands.
For the roll, for all the roll calls, you want to do that for all the roll calls, Angie?
It would be, yeah, it would be easier
Okay.
for me.
Okay, for the roll call votes, please unmute yourself and speak. If you want to speak any other time, please raise your hand so I can see it.
Are you ready for the roll call?
Yep.
McGuire. Michaels.
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Rector.
Here.
Store. Summers.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Thorsland.
Here.
Tinsley. Wolken.
Here.
Young. Clemens.
Here.
Cowart.
Present.
Dillard Myers.
Here.
Eisenman. Esri.
Here.
Fears. Fortato.
Here.
Goss.
Here.
Harper.
Here.
Ingram.
Here.
Rosales.
Here.
Thank you.
Charles Young here.
And Angie, I got Chris Storr has joined us, I think, or maybe he just didn't. I didn't hear him say here.
Okay, I got him.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as a reminder, please use your blue raise hand icon if you wish to speak and be recognized by the chair. We must take all votes by roll call, so if you can do omnibus motions, I would appreciate it. I will ask for some tonight if that would work for people. And for the record, it is noted that the county executive and 2 board members are sitting in the regular meeting room at the Brookings Administrative Center, so they are physically present here in the building. I'm doing an inspirational saying today instead of the prayer because it's election season coming up. We're all going to be thinking about elections tonight. I thought I would do this from John F. Kennedy. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. And I will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Those of you who want to can join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, will the clerk read the notice of the meeting, please?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois will convene on July 23rd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. via Zoom in the Lyle Shields Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business. Aaron Ammons, Champaign County Clerk and ex officio Clerk of the Champaign County Board.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our meeting packets are really big tonight, partly because the board did not hold committee meetings to move items to a consent agenda, and partly because we have several important decisions to make, for which timing is an issue. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Please raise your hand on the blue hands, please, so I can see who's talking.
Second.
Stephanie? Okay. Now my computer isn't working.
Seconded by Rosales. I
Thank
have
you.
not-
All right, thank you, Mr. Rosales. Any discussion on the agenda? Four participants have raised a hand. Hold on a second. Mr. Esri.
I was raising to move it.
Oh, okay. And Chris, I see your hand still raised. No, okay. All right, those in favor of the agenda, please vote. Roll call.
Who do you have as the first and second on that, Darlene? I'm sorry.
The first was Stephanie Furtado.
And
Second
the second
was
was Rosales.
Geraldo. Yep.
Okay, thank you. McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Woken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clement. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Clemens, you said yes?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Cowart, Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Eisenman, Esri,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Rosales.
Rosales, are you there?
Rosales, yes, that's a yes. I didn't hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
And I'm not seeing Jody Eisenman at the meeting. I'm looking for her name on the side. She might be a phone call in, but
Okay,
I'm not seeing
is
that she's,
is Charles,
She is not going to be here tonight.
okay, is Charles Young there?
he is.
Okay, thank you. That's what I had.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So next on the agenda would be the date and time of the next regular meetings. Just to note that also this month we have the legislative budget hearings, which are the budget items that are really important on Monday, August 24th and 25th. And the next item is public participation. Public participation is being taken remotely. Please use the blue raise hand if you wish to speak. Each person is allowed up to 5 minutes. And I see a hand raised for Mr. Beaupre.
Hi. It's been a depressing month since your last county board meeting. We've had another 25,000 or so Americans die from the coronavirus, which sounds like it may have leveled off since that was about what it was last time. And I was talking about hoping for a plateau last time, hoping for a really terrible plateau of about 500 deaths a day of Americans. Well, the plateau, it came and went. It was brief. Confirmed cases are already skyrocketing. The hospitalizations, as always, are following that, and rising deaths are following that, just like it has again and again and again. And you know, that's really heartbreaking after everything that's been sacrificed and everything we went through. I strongly recommend reading the handout with the letters from businesses and the impact it's having on business owners and their employees. And that devastation and desperation is shared by a lot of folks who are just trying to get by as well. It's destroying lives, and also pay attention to the arguments they're making to reopen, because they'll sound familiar. Some of them will sound very familiar. They'll sound like they're from the blue and red counties and blue and red states that opened up too fast and are now having hospitals with refrigerated trucks parked outside because the morgues are full again. They'll sound familiar from the desperation and the hope that, you know, in people making the best decisions possible and trusting that they'll make the best decisions possible. And desperation doesn't leave much for choices. It certainly encourages rationalizations. Had some folks coming back from Florida that I talked to recently, coming back here in town, talking about all the people they were mingling with, the parties, the fun, the joy. They had a great time, blast. And folks hanging out with their family members with comorbidities and asthma and other such things. Their friends were asking them, why? Why would you risk the lives of your loved ones? Why would you put people you work with and care about in danger like that? Well, one fellow, he's like, I trust the president. Now, that might not be the message you're getting from the president, but everybody's getting their own messages these days, depending on what channel they click and what social media algorithms are attuned to their wants and desires or fears. Scares the heck out of me. But, you know, another thing that doesn't help people make the best decisions is disinformation, especially when it's coming from trusted sources, whether it be political leaders or news or, you know, local officials who refuse to stand up when their party leaders are lying to their constituents and putting them in danger. It's that doesn't lead to the best decisions. Desperation doesn't lead to the best decisions. People are just trying to survive. This is really gut-wrenching, and I really, 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 really wish people would stand up for the truth. I don't have a lot of faith in politicians at all, ever. And as far as self-deception, rationalizations, and putting people in bad spots, God help us.
Thank you. I don't see any other public participation, so we will close that for this evening. Tonight we have a presentation from the Economic Development Corporation Executive Director, Carly McCrory, who is here to talk to us about some of the recent activities of the organization that she heads. Carly, are you here? Let me see if I can.
Yes, hello.
Yep, okay.
I'm going to share my screen. All right, thumbs up. Everyone can see that? Okay, great. All right, thanks, Darlene. Appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. As she said, my name is Carly McCrory. I'm the Executive Director of the Champaign County Economic Development Corporation. Our office is based here in Champaign. So just a little refresher of kind of who we are and what we do. We're a public-private organization that works across the county with both the private sector and the public sector on different economic development initiatives, a lot around job creation, job retention, small business development, and quality of life. So wanted to come here tonight and take the opportunity to talk about kind of our regular fiscal year activities and what we've accomplished over the last year, but also, of course, a lot of our areas of focus that have been happening since the pandemic started. So one of the things that we've been working on really over the past 2 years that we're about to roll out and finalize with our board of directors is a new strategic plan for the organization in a variety of different focus areas. And so we'll be finalizing this next month and then rolling it out in September. A variety of different areas to call out, but I'll just focus on a few here. One is looking at different industry clusters that exist within the county and then really honing in on some of the opportunities that exist within those industries to build out different opportunities and also workforce development initiatives. And then we're also always focused on small business development, which I'll touch on a little bit later, and working to utilize existing and enhance existing programs that exist in the community, but also build new programs, especially for underserved populations and different focus areas, especially around access to capital. So look for that soon. We'll be rolling that out here in the next few months. But like a lot of economic development organizations, our kind of bread and butter area tends to be business retention and business attraction. So business outreach and industry engagement is a lot of what we do on a day-to-day basis. And this is working with employers across the county, small to large employers across several different industries on different projects. So it could be us working on RFPs that come our way for companies that are looking to locate to Champaign County. That's a brand new project. It could be companies that have outgrown their existing space and are looking for new space, or it could be a company that exists here and for one reason or another, they could be doing a consolidation across the country, and we work to make sure that they still remain here in our county and potentially expand to the consolidation efforts. So there's a variety of ways in which we work on RFPs, but those tend to be the main focus areas. The other thing we do a lot of is just outreach to companies. So meeting with them, typically outreach visits are done within their physical space, but we've obviously been doing a lot of virtual meetings with companies here across the county just to make sure that they're doing well and then address any opportunities or challenges that they may have. So oftentimes we do very kind of structured visits where it's more of an interview type of style, digging into some specific areas. So we accomplished 89 of those over the past year, but we obviously work with more than 89 businesses across the county. So we're in constant communication with employers just to touch base and see how they're doing and answer any questions or concerns that they may have. The other kind of big piece of this particular component of our organization is we do a lot of industry roundtables. So whether that's industry as a whole, or it may be a concern that we're hearing across multiple industries as we do these outreach visits, we'll oftentimes pull people together and talk about different areas of expertise or different initiatives that we need to work on across the community with other partners as well. So those are really the biggest focus areas for us. And this past year, we kicked off a new project where we're taking a deeper dive into some of our clusters in Champaign County. So this is a project that we're doing in partnership with the University of Illinois Corporate Relations and also the Research Park. A previous study like this was done in 2013 by the university, and it really helped support a lot of efforts in the community, including helping to provide some data for what is now the Carle Illinois College of Medicine. But these 6 different areas I have listed on the screen are different industries that we already have existing here, but that we know that are ripe for opportunities. So we'll look at these in depth, and we kicked this project off in February with about 60 interviews and meetings within a 2-day period, and we're about 50% way through the project, and we're getting ready to kick off the last part of the project that'll be done all virtually. Another big component of our office is workforce development. We don't particularly implement or necessarily run a lot of these programs out of our office. These are mostly areas in which we'll work with partner agencies, especially educational institutions across the county, to help support their efforts. So oftentimes this will be a lot of working relationships with Parkland College and the University of Illinois. And these tend to focus around short-term certificates or training certificates in specialty industries. So that may be something like working to provide short-term certificates in the manufacturing industry for things like forklift drivers. It may be working to implement more K through 12 programming, especially in the high school sector, to integrate more students into the manufacturing sector. It's really across the board, but one of the important roles that we play is making sure that the industry and the private sector is engaged with these programs. We market them, we promote them, and we make sure that they're at the table and have an opportunity to participate. As with any economic development organization, a lot of the work that we do is, of course, working to attract new companies to the community, but this also means working to recruit and attract talent here as well. So some of the initiatives that we've launched within the past year include champaignaproud.com, which is a website where we sell things designed by local artists that really kind of bolster community pride. So we originally launched with a bunch of t-shirts bragging about our innovation that has come out of this community. We just launched a new design where we're raising money for the COVID-19 relief fund here in the community. And the other thing we did was we worked to establish a more formal recruiting network for all of the recruiters from our top employers across Champaign County. So this is really an effort to support their efforts in attracting new talent to our community and what we can do to provide the adequate resources to make them successful in those efforts. So we do things like create checklists and videos, and we do roundtables with them. That picture there up on the right is we put them on a bus and we drove them around the community to really kind of showcase all of the different spots and how we would pitch the community if we were trying to attract new talent here. Obviously, one of the reasons that we get a lot of interest and just good feedback from companies is because of our transportation and logistics infrastructure here in the county, our interstate and highway system, and then of course the University of Illinois Willard Airport. So one of the things we did this past year in conjunction with the airport and supported by community partners was we did another economic impact study. We had done this previously in 2016, and that was the first time that we had done something like this. So this was a good opportunity to benchmark that data to see what the total economic impact of having the airport here is in the county. And the good news is that it was a 34% increase since 2016, almost at $100 million annual economic impact just directly to Champaign County. So that was really important because it was telling us that a lot of the efforts that we had implemented and the things that we were focused on since 2016 and working with the airport were actually improving everything from full-time jobs to total tax rolls to visitors coming into the airport. Now, of course, this was completed pre-pandemic, so the numbers would look very different now, or if we did this again in 3 years. But this information has been really helpful in understanding some of the opportunities to pitch for new destinations or new routes to attract them to the airport through to different airlines. Obviously, the airline industry has been majorly disrupted by the pandemic. The good news is that our airport has not lost any destinations throughout the pandemic. We've only decreased in the number of daily flights for a certain amount of time. But within the past 2 weeks, we just returned to our full schedule of 5 flights to Chicago, 2 to Dallas-Fort Worth, and 1 to Charlotte. And we're hopeful that we'll be able to continue to be successful and grow the airport even post-pandemic. We also do a lot of programs and events, but have obviously had those on pause and are going to be working to bring those online remotely. One of the things that we do every year and that is coming up this October is National Manufacturing Day and Illinois Manufacturing Month, where we celebrate all of our local manufacturers and we bring people inside their doors to really understand kind of what they do and also the opportunities that exist for employment within that industry. One of the focus areas that I already mentioned in the cluster report is ag tech. It's no surprise that ag is a big component of our economy here. Champaign County is mostly comprised of agriculture, but one of the things that makes us more unique is really the integration of how technology works with agriculture here. And so we see a lot of amazing technology and programming coming out of the University of Illinois and also Parkland College. And in order to really celebrate that and move that forward, we established the inaugural Ag Tech Week, which we held this past March. And it was a variety of events to really celebrate the local industry and bolster it and bring attention to it. And as part of that week, the announcement was made that an accelerator is launching here solely geared towards ag tech companies. So we'll be working to attract the best ag tech companies across the country to our community to go through an accelerator program and hopefully keep them here as well. This is really exciting, and one of the things that why we're focused on this with many partners across the community is because most of the funding that goes to ag tech companies right now is directly from the coasts, even though the companies themselves are from the Midwest. So we're hoping to bring all of that funding and funnel it into the Midwest, specifically in our community. For a long time, we've been working with the New American Welcome Center at the University YMCA on their welcoming efforts and as they work to help immigrants in the community. But one of the things that we were really proud of is we applied for a pilot program. We were one of 3 communities across the country chosen. The other 2 were Pittsburgh and Louisville. This is for a technical assistance pilot program to help us think through policies and programs and different partnerships that we can create here in Champaign County to really implement some specific things that will help us build strategies around being welcoming to immigrants in our community. And this really dovetails off of the fact of all the work that the New American Welcome Center has already been doing to build a welcoming plan, mostly focused around the areas of economic integration and employment, which is one of the 6 pathways that they have previously established. One of the things that makes our EDO a little bit more unique than others is we do house an Illinois Small Business Development Center. So typically these centers are found at community colleges or universities, but we house one in our office. It makes a lot of sense just for the work that we do and also for the makeup of our county. So we're really happy to have them here. We have 2 full-time staff dedicated to this center, and it is one of 40 located across the state. So we have the most SBDC centers of any state in the country. So we have a really strong network here. But just these are some of the metrics of our last fiscal year, which it runs a different fiscal year than the EDC. But we advised 377 clients. And the other component of our center that is really valuable for companies here in Champaign County is that we have an international trade center. So we have a full-time staff member who is solely dedicated to helping companies who are importing and exporting their products. And she helped companies increase their exports by $22 million last year. Now, obviously, those numbers will look very different in 2020. Companies aren't traveling, they're not doing as many exports. There's been a lot of changes in international trade, but that expertise was really valuable, especially as we moved through the pandemic while supply chain networks were completely disrupted, and also as our state and different companies were working to attract and also outsource PPE equipment. So those are a lot of the things that we do in a typical and a normal year, sort of our main activities, but certainly since the pandemic hit in March, we've been adjusting and doing some additional things on top of our normal work. So just a few of those things. Pretty quickly early on, we established a group of local leaders in economic development to come together twice a week to meet and really make sure that we're all working on the same page, having consistent messaging, resource sharing, not duplicating efforts, and really making sure that we're working together across the county to help businesses and in all the ways that we can. We bounce things off of each other, and that collaboration and effort has proven to be very successful in a variety of ways. It's led to the development of Facebook groups like Champaign County Rallies. We've partnered to host Mass Drive early on in the pandemic so that we could get masks to businesses when it was so hard to get masks through general PPE orders. And really, we've just been a source of go-to information for the business community and navigating everything throughout this pandemic, especially as it relates to availability of assistance through the state and the federal level. There's a smaller group of part of that larger group that came together ahead of us going into phase 3 as part of the state of Illinois' Restore Illinois plan. And we really wanted to work to develop resources for local businesses that were easy to access and open source. So we developed ChampaignCountySafe.org. It's a website that serves as a hub of information where businesses can find digital downloads, sample signage, local PPE supplier lists. There's a ton of information and resources on there, but one of the main things that we did was we built out a safety pledge so that businesses can take this pledge to showcase that they're taking everything into consideration for their employees and for their customers. So everything on the website is completely open source, and we have 300 businesses pledged to date, and it's being promoted across the community and especially by the University of Illinois as they make plans for students to return to campus, students and faculty to return to campus. That was a big question that they were getting from parents and families of students is Champaign County taking this seriously, and what are they doing, and what businesses are safe to visit? Obviously, the other thing is our Small Business Development Center has been working tirelessly throughout the pandemic to assist small businesses in a variety of ways. A lot of technical assistance around both the state and the federal programs, and now recently some of the local programs too. So it's helping answering questions about filling out applications for funding, what funding they're eligible for, when and where it's appropriate to get multiple items of funding, and then also just, you know, in the very early stages, there were a lot of gray areas of understanding, is your business even essential? Are you allowed to operate? Or if you're operating at limited capacity, what does that mean? And we've been answering technical assistance and also in communication with the state of Illinois on a daily basis through different calls, through the DCEO and SBDC network, to really answer businesses' questions and concern and get answers back to them quickly, which we then you know, we do through general outreach efforts, but we are also running daily webinars around different topics, and we can share the information that way as well. I have mentioned a lot of collaboration that's been happening, so I just do want to give a shout out to all of the partners that we've been working with, especially during the pandemic. We already had good relationships here in Champaign County, and that has proven to be super successful in having us having the ability to quickly and effectively take action and implement some items, and so that's been really helpful, and everybody has been working together really well. So just a few items that we have in the works. As I mentioned previously, we had recently announced the launch of the Illinois Ag Tech Accelerator. We recently applied for a very competitive grant for funding to support that initiative, which we're hopeful we'll get, and we'll know in about 60 days. But obviously, the other thing is that we'll be continuing to work on just the general kind of recovery planning and implementation for businesses as we move through the pandemic and we move through different stages. So part of the ways that we plan and think through what some of our options are or what some of the needs are, whether that's through employers or just general workforce needs, is direct feedback from businesses. So it's really important that we're continuing to constantly have conversations with businesses in an organized way to understand in an aggregate form of what the needs are. But then we also just look at raw data. So we track things on a regular basis anyway, but this is an example of something that we look at often. This is data from May of 2020 through a software program that we have that tracks the top posted job titles across the county. So we look at things like this to try to help predict what the needs are going to be, whether that's going to be associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, it's going to take short-term certificates. And then we'll use this information to build out recovery efforts with our partners, especially the educational institutions. And then we look at things like different changes in spending habits in the community and comparing that at a 10,000 foot level, looking at the data of when things are happening. So here we're looking at small business revenue, and on this next slide, you can see the percent change in small businesses where they're open, and we track that against certain dates of big things that have happened. So different phases of Restore Illinois, when the schools closed, when certain state or federal recovery programs were implemented and when they ended. And this helps not only inform all of our local partners and we can make decisions locally, but it helps in our conversations with the state too when they're developing programs and initiatives to help support the business community moving forward. And finally, very exciting, we're going to be setting this up here quickly, but we were just awarded an additional $200,000 grant through CARES funding that came to the Illinois SBDC network. And we're going to be standing up programs that are direct assistance to small businesses across our communities that they can get access to that they normally wouldn't be able to get access to. So this will be helping in a variety of different areas, but some of the most critical needs are accounting and financial compliance. So getting them partnered up with accountants in the community who have expertise specifically and some of the pandemic assistance and helping them understand what they need to do for tax reasons or to work with their lender to do. A lot of employment law questions from small businesses related to employees in the workplace or just what is the eligibility requirements as part of the additional CARES Act. And then just general stuff, you know, a lot of marketing questions and e-commerce assistance needed as businesses had to pivot quickly to online stores and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. So we're really happy to get that. We're working through the paperwork now, and then we'll be standing up those programs very soon. So those are just some of the things that we have been working on, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Carly, can you unshare your screen?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Now I can see the hands. Chris,
Oh,
do you have a
sorry.
question?
Hi. Yes. I saw that you had an international trade center here in town. Now, do they have an area? Some of these have places where you can basically hold materials kind of in a limbo physically until they're needed and then import them into the country. Is that something that is needed, or or do we have a way of doing that?
We wouldn't actually hold any items through our office, but our international trade specialist, Marielle, helps companies figure out where that happens, especially lately if things get stuck in customs somewhere. She helps them navigate that process and get them out of customs. One of the things I didn't mention it's a long-term goal is the university through their FBO Flight Star is actually establishing a new port of entry just for individuals right now. That'll open in October, but we're exploring through the executive board on the airport what international opportunities might be available in the future through that port of entry for goods and services.
Good job.
Okay, any other questions for Carly? Okay. Seeing none. Oh, Mike has one. Mr. Ingram?
Not a question. Just wanted to say thanks for putting that all together and for all the work that you've been doing. I mean, I know thanking you for your job is, not probably something that you're exactly looking to hear, but you're doing a great job, and I do appreciate all the extra legwork that had to go into what we're dealing with right now.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Thanks for coming tonight, Carly. And I just want to say my personal thanks for the work that you've done during the pandemic. Carly is what I call an energy bunny personality. She just is in a million different things and manages to get most of them done. So we're all very happy that she's in the position she's in at the EDC. Thanks a lot for coming tonight.
Thanks. And it's full circle. My former boss is on the call for later on in the agenda. So shout out to Brian.
Hi, Brian. Yeah, Brian is for later. Okay. All right. Let's move down on the agenda. The next thing we have is communications. You all received a packet that was a separate handout with a lot of letters that were sent to the board regarding the impacts of the COVID pandemic closing on their businesses and some of the impacts that had, some of the problems that they had. Does any other member of the board have communications regarding any business? I think Mr. Harper has something.
Yeah, thank you. And I just shared.
You need to unmute, Stan.
Are we live now?
Yep, there you go.
There we go. Okay. I just shared this with Darlene right ahead of time. A couple of weeks ago, Jim Kelly that grew up here in Urbana, worked for the Urbana Public Works for years, retired. And his father also, James Kelly, you've probably seen him on the news, 98, Iwo Jima veteran. But anyway, a little background on this, and I'll try to do best I can here.
I'm showing him the picture, Stan.
Okay, there's a plaque that was started right at the end of World War II. It was the mothers collected $1 from mothers of Champaign County boys in the service and created this name plaque. It was displayed in the community center, and this is from Jim, I think the Tiger's Den on Elm Street, then moved to the Civic Center until it got closed. The VFW, which Jim is presently the auxiliary president or just recently past president, would like to restore this plaque a little bit. It was damaged when it was taken down at the Civic Center, and possibly put it in the courthouse if at all possible. And I feel it's something that should be remembered by our county people that serve this country. And I think I talked to Darlene. I'd like to move this on to facilities where Dana and Steve and I can possibly talk about this more and bring it to the committee and see if there's a place in the courthouse to put this plaque back up once it's restored. That's all I got to say. So that's it. Thanks.
Mr. Ingram.
Hey there. I actually sent an email to Darlene and Geraldo before the meeting, and I already got a response back from Darlene, but I did say that I would mention this. A couple constituents have reached out to me asking about updates for the county website, specifically reports from animal control, but I think from other departments too. And I just wanted to make sure that we were kind of on record as making sure that we were looking into that and getting those up onto the county website for people to see. So thanks for getting back to me already, Darlene.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Summers.
Just wanted to thank my colleague, Mr. Harper, for bringing that information forward, and I look forward to looking at that plaque and facilities and making a decision what we can do with it. Thank you, Stan.
Okay, I think we'll move on now to approval of the minutes. May the executive have a motion to approve the minutes for June the 18th, 2020.
So moved, Ingram.
Thank you. Mr.
Second,
Ingram.
Goss.
Second, Mr. Goss. Any discussion on the minutes? Mr. Storr? Does anybody have any discussion on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, those in favor, we need a roll call.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Furtado.
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Excuse me, you skipped Fears.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cynthia is on.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been on. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Are you the phone number? Yeah, you're the server. Thank you. We changed it to your name
Yeah.
so we can see that you're there. Thank you. All right, new business. This is something we've discussed several times. Can the executive get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2020-173, accepting the extension of the Illinois Housing Development Authority Abandoned Properties Program grant and authorizing the county executive to execute the grant?
So moved. Rector.
I'm looking here. Mr. Esri, second by
Rector.
Rector. Mr. Rector. Discussion? Mr. Esri. You're
Yes,
muted.
thanks.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks. I just had to get it unmuted. Yeah, this is what we have discussed several times. Mr. Hall informed me that this is largely because when we went to the executive form with that change, that's why we're voting on this yet again. The Housing Development Authority wanted us to reconfirm that the grant, basically give a yay on our part now that we've gone to the county executive, because when we initially got the grant, we were under the county board chair type of government. We have this grant will have used about 98% of it, of the $40,000, which will be reimbursed. So I think that's pretty good news that we're able to utilize that much of it. The specific one that this was extended for up there in Foosland, demolition has started on that, Mr. Hall tells me, so that's good as well. It's coming down and get cleaned up for the community and the county as a whole, and then hopefully we can get that property back on the tax rolls. But yeah, all in all, it's a good thing. I'm just glad that we're able to do it, and it's a formality because of the switch in the form of governance here in Champaign County. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we need a roll call vote, please.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay. Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
That was a yes.
okay. Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder that when you finish voting, rather than turning your mutes off and on, you can just press down on your space bar. That might make it easier for some of you to remember that it's on or off. Okay, next we have item B. Can the executive get a motion for item B, adoption of resolution number 2020-174, authorizing the award of contract to Tyler Technologies Incorporated for the Munis ERP Enterprise Resource Planning System, implementation services and vendor support pursuant to RFP 2019-006.
I
Mr.
so
Goss?
move.
Thank you. Can I get Ms. Furtado's a second? Any discussion on that item? I think Joel is here tonight if anybody has question. Ms. Furtado?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank, I know that getting us to this point and looking at the scope of work, you get a sense of why it took us so long to get to this point. I want to thank Tammy, Bill, I'm afraid I'm forgetting the other gentleman's name who worked to get us here, and all of the staff members and all the different offices. Just thank you for the work that you've done. And just, I wanted to comment, I thought the way that the presentation from Tyler was organized was incredibly easy to understand, and just a very clean looking presentation of data. So I appreciated that a lot.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Joel is here tonight if you have questions. I know we've talked about this several times. Okay, seeing none, those in favor? We need a roll call.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Woken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens, Cowart, Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
And Angie, I don't know if you could hear, both Mr. Clemens and Ms. Cowart voted yes. They were
Yes.
pretty quiet.
Yep.
They're pretty soft.
I got him.
Okay. All right, thank you. That motion passes. Next is item C, adoption of resolution. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2020-172 to adopt the 6-year workforce plan? Can I get a motion? Ms. Cowart, thank you. Can I get a second?
Young second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Young?
Thank you. Let me lower my hand first. I
Okay.
just want to say that I will be voting straight up no on this adoption resolution. As I stated before, there never was no, you never consulted with me by being a policy chair and not being transparent. I don't look at things from a political perspective, you know, it's politics, but I keep saying it's politics. All of us as elected officials are hired, these are temporary jobs. They are not permanent jobs, they're temporary jobs. And we work for the people, not for ourselves. So I'm more into morality and moral and ethical rights. So everything don't have to be written down black and white because we form and produce knowledge and information every day as human beings in regards to a different interpretation, how things are function. And we clearly seeing that with the upcoming, what you want to call it, the court issue, alleged allegation. So, yeah, the court case. I was trying to find my thoughts. But anyhow, I just want to let you know I will be voting straight up no. Remember, these are temporary jobs, not nothing permanent. I do believe in term limits. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Storr?
Hi, this is Chris, and I've had a chance to look through the workforce plan, and I had some questions. I'll start off by saying that on page 76, I saw that the compensation move employees to a living wage. I'd like to say I'd like that, and I thought, and I applaud putting that in there. However, I do have some questions about some other matters, including on page 75, compliance, and it talks about monthly training. And we had a rather raucous discussion about having monthly training for the county clerk's office, and how that might disrupt or interfere with public accessing services, and that wasn't addressed in the plan. The page 76. I can see the attractiveness of centralizing hiring of, centralizing hiring data of all county offices. That's okay. But could somebody explain what restorative leadership is?
Yeah, Isak is on the call. She'd be able to take questions. Isak, did you hear the question? Isak, you're muted if you're talking. We can't hear you, Isak. There you go. I see your face. We can't hear you. Are you muted? There you go. There you go. Isak, we cannot hear you.
Now?
Yes.
Okay.
Finally.
Okay. So the compensation piece, that's nothing new. That's just writing down what has been accomplished over the last 18 months. That was done as part of, was a big part of the conversation last year during the bargaining and the non-bargaining wage conversations. So this is just documenting that. The training, the monthly training, for the most part, that is training that's being done through meetings that are already existing, so it doesn't add any additional time. And restorative management is just, it's a big bracket of taking a look at if there's a way to simply modernize the way that the county is doing management and supervision, as opposed to a model that's based on a punitive style of disciplinary processes. That's just simply old. It's just a blanket term, and it's just like everything else that once we're able to get some of the basic elements automated and standardized just in terms of day-to-day business, and we can start to track accomplishments and changes in the county and see what impact those are having. A natural step is taking a look at how we simply do management and supervision across the county. That, of course, it's a work team that includes hopefully board members sitting down with the labor union and as well as people from various parts of the county sitting down and simply looking at what we need to do and what the options are in terms of how we can bring the way that we manage staff, not just do our work, current. Don't know what that's going to look like. That's why it's a really vague term, because that's something that a work group would decide what makes sense for the county at that point. And it's also far enough in the future that hopefully a lot of the changes with the automating of HR processes will streamline a lot of things, that it could be that the needs will actually be different now even than they are now.
Go ahead, Mr. Storr.
Thank you. This is Chris Storr. Isak, and Madam County Executive Kleppel, this sounds pretty good in concept, and I wondered how this might be coupled with zero-based budgeting. You know, that's my old dog, and I didn't see any mention of that in here, but I wonder if you could kind of elaborate. Have you thought how these things might work together?
Actually, we have, and we've talked about it quite a bit, and it's not in there because that's more of a budgeting factor and a finance factor. Obviously, it plays into personnel management and hiring, but it's really not strictly a personnel factor. That's why it's not in there. And as we've talked many, many times, that while we're on the current system, it's just simply not an option. So going into the ERP, updating the ERP, updating the HR process, being able to actually combine them so they're part of a single process. The first step is just simply getting modern and and automated and updating then the budgeting structure and the process. And at that point, that's really the appropriate time to come back and take a look at what budgeting changes and process changes make the most sense for the county.
At the risk of imposing further, I think some of these things sound promising. I didn't have as much time to look at them as I thought that I would, because I'm working against a deadline for another project. And I appreciate the work that you folks have done, and I kind of wondered, are you, who were the members of this that put the workforce plan together?
Yeah, we actually talked about that last time. It was Darlene, Katie, myself, Angie from the county clerk's office, Lori from the court, Leanne from GIS, and Shannon from the sheriff's office. And part of why it seems a little nebulous, Chris, is this is simply a plan. It's similar to almost any other process. When you take a look at how are we making changes, especially when bargaining is required, the first part is simply prioritization. The second part is then going to the board and getting board input, as well as, if necessary, any fiscal authority. And then the group sit down and take a look at the individual tasks, well, really then gaining clarity on exactly what that's going to look like at the time, and creating then the more detailed plan in terms of how it's going to get done and assigning the roles. So this is really just the skeletal. Here's a suggestion for how we prioritize the tasks, the work that needs to be done, and simply putting it on a timeline. And then knowing that it's all going to be work groups going forward, and it's really a plan for a plan.
Well, I remember that there's a quote about plans are for naught, but planning is everything. And I kind of remembered what you said about the membership from last time, and I really would like to see if there could kind of be some input from the bottom as well as from the top on some of these things. I know that that kind of slows things down, but I think for a good plan to go forward, all of the stakeholders ought to have a chance for input, and that leads to good buy-in.
Right, and that absolutely is the intent with the sections of the plan. Nothing's going to be done in a vacuum. This is simply the prioritization in terms of capacity, and in terms of, for example, taking a look at the compensation of the county and reviewing the salary administration program. That needs not just management, but it needs folks at every level, as well as the bargaining units, as well as the board, because the board is the governing authority over the budget, right? Absolutely sitting down and having all of those pieces at the table and identifying the plan for how to do that, as well as then the strategy for doing it, creating the target dates, the plan, the processes, the research, all of that actually, it has to be done that way. It's the only way to make it work. It's the only way to get the buy-in.
Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Summers?
Yes, thank you, Darlene. I have two specific issues with this plan. It does not appear that project labor agreements were really considered in any in-depth fashion, and that's despite a significant number of county board members that have expressed clear concern with considering and moving in that direction. And it's interesting listening to Ms. Griffiths talk about how it's important to engage. In putting this together, your workforce task force did not engage with either our policy, personnel, and appointments committee or our labor committee. And even with a plan that is a plan for a plan, since you pointed out that the board has the budgetary control over it, it would seem that there should be some input from there, and there was absolutely none. So not real happy with those aspects of this plan. Thank you.
You're muted, Isak. Are you speaking?
I'm not sure why that keeps happening. I'm not touching my keyboard or my mouse. So absolutely. And it's our understanding that the full board is actually the policy committee. And our understanding is that there aren't any study sessions happening right now. And so the simple process right now, as we understand it, is bring it to the full board for that input. It's even in the memo that we recognize that the board might have some priorities and would like to recommend adjusting those or adjusting the timeline. We absolutely would like the board's opportunity. This is simply the process. There is no expectation that we'd come to you and say, here, and get a rubber stamp. This is the opportunity for the board's input. And the labor committee, that part comes after, because that's part of the bargaining conversation. And again, it's coming up with priorities, getting the board's input, and getting the authorization to move forward, and then sitting down once we have those priorities in step. That's just part of the general process. And if the board wants to take a look and make those changes, including the PLA is part of it, again, nothing is actually in depth because it's a plan. It's not, this is how we're doing it. That would require another work group, the board engagement, and the research on how to do that in terms of fiscally what's in the best interest of the county. This doesn't have that level of detail. And if the board wants to move that close to the front of the plan and push things aside, we perfectly understand that may be a priority of the board. And this is the opportunity to provide that input.
I would say that at this meeting, when we're preparing to vote on this, is not the time to ask for board's input. Board's input should have come in the formation of this. I have no further questions.
Any further discussion?
You hear me?
I'm sorry.
Hello?
Oh, Mr. Young, are you raising your hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to say who to say ESOT definition of general process is correct. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm seeing no further discussion. We need a roll call vote here.
McGuire,
No.
Michaels,
No.
Patterson,
No.
Rector,
No.
Storr,
No.
Summers,
No.
Taylor,
No.
Thorsland,
No.
Tinsley,
No.
Woken,
No.
Young,
Absolutely not.
Clemens,
No.
Cowart, Dillard Myers,
No.
Esri,
No.
Fears,
No.
Furtado,
No.
Goss,
No.
Harper,
No.
Ingram,
No.
and Rosales.
No.
Okay, motion fails. Moving on to item D, adoption. Can the executive get a motion for adoption of a resolution number 2020-15, appointing Deborah Rush to the Developmental Disabilities Board, term 1/7/1/20 to 6/30/23. And I would like to make just one short note that there's a name changed in paragraph 1. The wrong name was in your memo, which with the resolution that has been corrected to the correct name. Can I get a motion for this?
So moved, Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Rector.
Second, Ingram.
Second, Mr. Ingram. Any discussion? Seeing none, I need a roll call vote.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson, Rector,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Woken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Yes.
Furtado, Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item E. Can the executive get a motion for adoption of resolution 2020-176, approving the appointment of election judges for the 2020-2022 term?
So moved, Ingram.
Second, Thorsland.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Thank you, Mr. Thorsland. Any discussion? Ms. Michaels?
I appreciate the list that we have. I noticed that there was some precincts, some areas that did not have anyone. Are those looking to be filled later on before November?
I believe Mr. Ammons is here this evening. Is Aaron still on the meeting, or Angie, can you answer that?
Actually, if Michelle Jett's on, she would probably be the best since she's the one that kind of pulled all this together. Michelle, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
So this is a voluntary list from the two parties. So it doesn't guarantee that there's going to be someone from every single precinct. And there's still the opportunity for individuals to sign up as election judges directly with the clerk's office. Those are called appointed judges, and they have a different designation as opposed to these judges, which are called commission judges, but they all are election judges.
May I have a follow-up, Madam Chair?
Sure, go ahead, Diane.
And real quick, Ms. Jett, just one more thing real quick. In many of the years, I've never seen as comprehensive a list on the people here with their birth dates and whatnot. I didn't know if that was a new ruling or just something that Champaign County is doing. It's quite a lot of personal information on somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we just would have pulled basically the voter information that we allow. So you just got that information, but we can always discuss the general policy on what information is released.
Well, I didn't know because it could be the rules changed or something. I just never have noticed a date of birth by people.
Yeah, sometimes people want the birth date to see if it's like the person they think it is.
Sure, or
and
juniors.
You guys are approving this list, and we didn't want there to be questions as to who is this person if you may know their name but not their birthday.
Okay, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, we need a roll call vote, please. Oh, Mr. Dillard Myers, I'm sorry, your hand went up.
Yeah, my hand went up because I wanted to comment on people's birthday addresses and all this being listed in public. That is personal identifiable information. Somebody knows your birthday, your mother's maiden name, your address, they can steal your identity. And to lay somebody's birthday out, their address, on this piece of paper, I think that's kind of dangerous. Just saying, it is personal identifiable information.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to vote. Let's take a roll call vote, please.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson, Rector,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken, Young,
Yes.
Clemens, Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
No.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
No. No.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Ingram,
YES, yes.
and Rosales.
No.
Angie, I'm thinking Mr. Clemens has left the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, moving down to the next items. I would like to try to do these together in an omnibus motion if possible for adoption of F and G. Would somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Furtado, I need you to read these. I didn't read them. If you want to read both of them together.
Sure. I move the adoption of resolution number 2020-177, authorizing an acceptance of the CARES Act grant between Champaign County and the Illinois Board of Elections. And I move the adoption of resolution number 2020-178, authorizing an acceptance of the fiscal year 2021 postage grant award between Champaign County and the Illinois State Board of Elections.
This is Chris, and I will second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Storr. Any discussion? Mr. Harper? I think you're muted, Mr. Harper.
Excuse me there. I think it's about time for my semi-annual rant and rave about stuff. I understand the need that we have to because of the situation we're in, and the vote by mail is fine, but I'm not happy with our county. I've been here almost 8 years. We've done nothing. We sold a nursing home after we flushed 20-some plus $1 million down the toilet. I'm tired of our elected officials having excuses, blaming somebody else. This is crap. I just don't understand it. I'm in production agriculture. I have nobody to blame but myself. But to sit here and rant and rave about this and that, and then I get a video from the Rantoul School Board meeting, I have phone calls from friends that I know in that area, and then I read in the paper. I'm sure there's mistakes made here, but to rant and rave about it just pisses me off. I'm so goddamn tired of shit. Excuse me, but I'm mad. When he sits there and calls us a white supremacist, Nazi racist, he doesn't know me at all. I'm from a rural area. Yes, it's 99.99% white. But I try to get along with anybody to move the county forward. It's like Ms. Cowart.
You're muted, Stan.
I guess that.
You got a 5-second delay on you now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're muted because we can't do speaking about specific
Okay,
board
I'll
members.
calm down.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
calm down.
Do you have anything you want to say about these two grants?
Well, I want things to get done. I mean, I don't want excuses made. I don't like people that call me racist. I remember when we voted for the Racist Justice Task Force. I was dead set against this. Anybody in our caucus would tell you that. But I listened to the people that night, and one individual, I believe his name was Marlon Mitchell.
Okay, Stan, we got to talk about the stuff on the floor here, which is these two grants. Thank you.
I'm done.
Mr. McGuire.
So am I to understand we're going to be muted if we go off topic? I don't want to be muted. If we're going to be muted, we need to go back in and have a regular county board meeting so we won't be controlled by somebody there and what we're going to talk about and how we're going to speak, because this is
the board rules and public civility calls for the fact that you don't speak about other board members. So when that starts to happen, I will mute you. I've warned you.
We're called out of order, and someone was asked to speak who was not a board member. It was Aaron Ammons, and we were told and attacked, and now we're going to be told what we're going to say and when we're going to say it. We're elected officials. We should be able to speak and talk about the issues that are important for the people we represent.
Okay, but we're on this topic, which is these two grants. So if you want to talk about the grants, I'm fine with hearing that. What would you have anything to say about these two grants? Because that's our subject right now. Okay, Mr. Patterson?
And I guess you could consider this a point of order then. I share Mr. McGuire's concerns about muting of members. And before we start doing that, I think there needs to be a formal decision by the board. And I would just request that if somebody is out of order, that you simply interject and let them know they're out of order as opposed to muting them. It seems like that is a new boundary to cross, and we need to have a conversation before that starts becoming a regular practice.
I understand. Okay, is there any further discussion about these two grants that are on the table? Okay, we need a vote, please. A roll call.
McGuire.
Thank you, Kyle. Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Rector.
Yes.
Store.
Yes.
Summers.
Thank you, Jim and Kyle. Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Tinsley.
Yes.
Woken.
Yes.
Oh. Young.
Yes.
Clemens. Nope. Cowart.
Yeah.
Dillard Myers.
Yes.
Esri.
Yes.
Fears.
Yes.
Furtado.
Yes.
Goss.
No.
Harper.
No.
Ingram.
I'll also thank McGuire and Patterson, and yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item H, I would like to note that the budget line on the budget amendment page that you have was the incorrect budget line. It should, the number that says 533.4 564, election judges for $65,000 should read 511.05, temporary salaries. It has been changed on the document so that you would be approving that change. Can I get a motion for adoption of resolution number 2020-179, authorizing budget amendment 20-00036, Fund 623, Election Assistance Accessibility Department, Department 022, County Clerk, increased appropriations, $398,869, increased revenue, 0.
So moved.
Reason.
Swarsland. This is Chris. Second.
Okay. Mr.
Darlene, I'm
Thorsland?
sorry. Can I interject?
Yes.
I just realized that
The
this,
revenue also increased, correct?
yes.
Yeah, the revenue should stay the same amount, $398,869. And the reason is that grant funds from the CARES Act and the postage grant to help offset costs to increase vote by mail expenses during the 2020 general election. Now, Mr. Thorsland, did you make a motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and I got a second from Mr. Storr, I believe. Okay, thank you. Any discussion on this item?
Do we know how much it's going to increase? How much of this will this offset the actual cost?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Of the cost increase projections for cost, how much of this will cover those costs? Is the county clerk on the call?
I believe Michelle Jett is on the call.
It's Angie. I've been the primary on dealing with the CARES Act, the postage, and the IVRS and HAVA grants. Can you repeat your question one more time? I'm sorry.
So obviously there's going to be an anticipated increase in cost because of the vote by mail. What are your projections on how much of this appropriation will cover that projected increase?
So, and Aaron, if you're on the call, feel free to jump in. The state board, when they put this together, because first of all, let me go back. They put this together because Senate Bill 1863 was passed, and because they're anticipating an increase in vote by mail because of the pandemic. So they put this together, the CARES Act and the postage grants for us. Now, what they used as the guide was that that 8% is what election authorities were at as we sit right now for vote by mail, but we are anticipating at least, but we actually think it's going to be over 50%. And that is a lot to scale in a short amount of time. So this grant, we intend to take advantage of and utilize that as we move forward, preparing and getting ready for the general election amid COVID.
So you don't know how much, do you have a cost, if it hits 50%, do you have a projected cost on what that will be for your department?
Angie, can I just jump in real fast?
Yes, please, because I'm trying. Yes.
I know you're trying to clerk and talk, and it's not working.
Thanks.
So to answer your question, Mr. Director, we anticipate our goal is to use this appropriation to cover all of the additional vote by mail costs that the grant allows us to. So the state board is still requiring election authorities to cover whatever percentage of vote by mail they would normally have. And so for us, that's around an 8% mark of what our vote by mail ballots are normally at. So we have to cover the first 8% of vote by mail ballots ourselves. And then our goal is to use the grant to cover all of the over vote by mail over that 8%.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions?
Steph, I have a quick question. So the 8%, that's we already put that into your budget, like that just regular annual budget process, correct?
Yes, it's just part of our general, what it costs to run an election expectation.
Okay, so I think what John was trying to get at, and is a good question, is you're not, at this point at least, anticipating any additional need to come back to us for revenue, for example, from like the general fund to run this election.
Our goal is not to have to do that.
Okay. And okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I think we're ready to vote. Angie, would you take a roll call, please?
Yes. McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels, Michaels,
I said yes.
sorry, Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Storr,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Clemens, Coward.
He's not at the meeting
I'm
anymore.
Yes.
Okay. Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
No.
Harper,
Mr. Harper has left the meeting.
Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes. I was having some
I
delay
believe,
issues.
I believe Walton was missed on that.
Okay. Woken,
Yes.
This is Tinsley. I was having some delayed issues. That's a yes for me also.
okay, I got it.
Did you get everybody, Angie?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. All right, next is, I would like to do, next is Regional Planning Commission. So can I get a motion for item number I?
So moved. Jim McGuire.
Okay, please read it, Jim. I didn't read it. Do you have it?
Yes. Adoption of resolution number 2020-20, authorizing Budget Amendment 20-00035, 1075 Regional Planning Commission, Department 857, Lehigh Cares. Increased appropriation $500,000, increased revenue $700,000. Reason grant fund for the CARES Act to help prepare for, and respond to home energy needs surrounding the national emergency.
Okay, can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by, I'm not seeing any hands raised here. I'm sorry.
It's Patterson. He seconded.
Kyle, thank you. Any discussion on this one?
This is Chris, and this is a very important resolution that provides assistance for those who need help with heating and cooling. It's one of the very important things that this board does. And my thanks to the folks at the Regional Planning Commission for pursuing this grant.
Anybody else? Mr. Patterson?
Just want to say it was a relief to hear that these funds are coming through, and I just want to thank RPC for all of the funds that they've been able to secure during COVID related to giving relief to people. And this is really, really a godsend.
Okay, thank you. All right, seeing no further hands, we will call for a roll.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. I would like to take the next three together. These are three IDOT grants. And would ask for an omnibus motion for items J, K, and L. Adoption of resolution number 2020-181, authorizing a budget amendment for 20-00038, Fund 075, Regional Planning Commission, Department 878, Land Use Inventory, increased appropriations 190,000, increased revenue 190000, and the reason was given in the memo. Adoption of resolution number 2020-182, authorizing budget amendment 20-00039, Fund 075, Regional Planning Commission, Department 879, Systemic Safety Evaluation Tool, increased appropriations $195,000, increased revenue $195,000. Reason, system safety evaluation tool will be a web application that allows state, county, and municipal engineers to evaluate systemic crash risks, explore potential countermeasures, and estimate the benefits and costs of safety improvement projects using the Champaign County Highway Department roadway network as a demonstration project. And adoption of resolution 2020-183, authorizing budget amendment 20-00040, Fund 175, Regional Planning Commission, Department 877, FL Avenue Corridor, Florida Avenue Corridor Study, increased appropriations $90,500, increased revenue $90,500. Reason, evaluate 1.12 miles of Florida Avenue in the city of Urbana in central Illinois for the goal of studying to identify and coordinate multimodal infrastructure improvements to increase safety and mobility in this high priority, high traffic location situated between the city of Urbana and the University of Illinois flagship campus in Urbana-Champaign. Can I get such a motion?
I so move.
Mr. Goss, thank you. Can I get a second?
Summers, seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Any discussion on these three items that have to do with transportation planning? Okay, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Wolken,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Rita, for coming.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, you're welcome. Next, can I get an omnibus motion for the Douglas County Enterprise Zone documents in item M and N for adoption of ordinance number 2020-11, authorizing participation in the Douglas County Enterprise Zone, and adoption of resolution 2020-186, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the Douglas County Enterprise Zone?
So moved, Thorsland.
Thank you, Mr. Thorsland. May I get a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Furtado. Discussion on this item, and we do have Brian Moody and Laurel Berggren here this evening if you have questions. Any questions or discussion?
Sure. This is Chris. And
Chris Storr.
thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask, what is the actual amount of the solar panels that will be occupying ground? There's a couple of figures in the different documents.
I'm not sure that Ms. Berggren, do you know the answer to that? Or Mr. Moody? If you're talking, Mr. Moody, you're muted.
This is Laurel, Darlene.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Let's see.
I can hear you, Laurel. Can you all hear me?
Oh, hi, Brian.
Yeah, Brian's on as well. So either one of you can take that question.
Laurel, I know the total investment number is, I believe, 250 million, but I don't know if I know the panel specific amount.
I was referring to acreage.
As far as how many acres the actual panels cover?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I'm not sure if I can actually answer that as well. That was something that was covered in the special use permit hearing. And so I think we need to refer to that particular document. It's a percentage of the entire project area is approximately 1,275 acres, but there's space, you know, between the various areas as far as, you know, fence and the setbacks that were required by the county. So, you know, at this point in time, the engineering is not completely done, you know, as far as where the panels go and all that kind of thing. So actually, I really can't answer that question.
John Hall is in the meeting, and perhaps you can ask John Hall. He may have a better idea.
John, do you want to answer that?
I would answer if I could, but I would have to repeat exactly what Laurel said. It's 1,200 acres, give or take overall. I actually don't know the coverage of the panels, but of course the panels rotate, and so I wouldn't even know how to report that, frankly. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Mr. McGuire? Do you have a question, Mr. McGuire?
Yes. So how much of the enterprise zone, do we have other enterprise zones that go across county lines like this?
Brian, I think that's your question.
There are multiple enterprise zones in the state of Illinois that cross county lines, yes.
But Champaign County doesn't.
I do not believe the existing 3 zones in Champaign County cross any county lines that I'm aware of.
And
They do not, Jim.
And the board that rules over this enterprise zone is mostly Douglas County. We don't have anybody that represents Champaign County.
Champaign County as becoming a party to the designating or to the intergovernmental agreement would then obtain a spot on that board, on our board, on the Douglas County Enterprise Zone Board.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Esri?
Yes, thanks. I know previously we hit kind of a roadblock when it came to the big hang up for the board for determination on whether to go ahead with this or decline it. Was the idea of, I believe it was like sales tax revenue that the county could or would potentially receive on sales tax. Might not be right, but it was tax income that we may or may not receive on goods, material that went into this project. I know there was a whole controversy over, where the goods were received and everything like that. And I was just wondering if either Laurel or Brian, or I know maybe Tammy Ogden would be able to, or maybe all three of them want to speak as to what the resolution of that was, because it's my understanding that, we did maybe get some answers from the state level as to how that would all work out and what the potential revenues that the county could potentially be turning away, I guess you could say, if we participate, and then maybe even some of the potential offsetting revenues if we do participate, if applicable. Thanks.
Amy, would you answer that question, please?
Sure. There is a memo in the packet that explains this in detail, but I'll just briefly go over it. We were able to have a conversation with the Illinois Department of Revenue to determine whether in this instance use tax would apply or retailer's occupation tax would apply. And essentially the trigger is whether or not the retailer would have a presence in Illinois. And IDOR considers presence to be either a physical presence or an agent or representative of the retailer operating within the state, actually working in the state. And so it was determined that most likely in this instance, the remote retailer would have an agent that would be working in Illinois because of the nature of the materials, which is predominantly solar panels and racking. And that would trigger the application of use tax as opposed to retailer's occupation tax. And therefore it's determined, if that's the case, that there would be very minimal sales tax loss to Champaign County. I think the projections maybe that were originally provided were $6,000. Laurel, do you remember?
Yeah, that's what I think it was, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Storr, do you have anything else?
Yes. And hang on a second here. Want to refer to is this all, is the area that's going to be that we're voting on, is this all zoned? Is all the zoning stuff been taken care of for this?
Yes, the special use permit was approved January of 2019.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while.
Okay.
We've been talking about this a long time, Chris.
Mr. Storr?
Yes, sir.
There are several approvals needed before they can actually build. There's, we have to get a decommissioning and site reclamation plan approved by the board, and some other specific things like specific landscaping. Certainly those are all secondary to the special use permit that has already been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Informative as always. I did get some emails from constituents about this, and all of them were supportive.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. So I think we're ready to vote. Roll call, please.
McGuire,
No.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Rector,
No.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Woken,
Yes.
Young. Is he left?
I think he's left the meeting.
Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
No.
Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We are down to other business, which is 2 items from the auditor, which are adoption of resolution number 2020-184, authorizing purchases not following purchasing policy, and adoption of resolution 2020-185, authorizing payment of claims. Can I get an omnibus motion for both of those to be accepted?
So move, Cowart.
Thank you, Ms. Coward. Thank you, Mr. Rosales. Any discussion? Mr. Rosales, did you have a question?
No, I don't. I need to lower my hand.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, we're ready to vote, Angie.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yeah.
Rector,
Yes.
Store,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Thorsland,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Woken,
Yes.
Young.
He's gone from the meeting.
Nope, sorry. Clemens, nope.
He's gone from the meeting.
I changed sheets. Sorry. Cowart,
Yes.
Dillard Myers,
Yes.
Esri,
Yes.
Fears,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Goss,
No.
Harper,
He's
no.
gone the meeting.
Ingram, Ingram,
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The next 2 items, B and C, are for information only and placed on file. Item D, would Ms. Furtado please read the motion for closed session?
Yes, I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to consider litigation that is pending against or on behalf of Champaign County and litigation that is probable or imminent against or on behalf of Champaign County. I further move that the following individuals remain present if they are indeed on the Zoom. I'm not sure about that. County Executive Darlene Clavel, Chief Deputy of Finance Tammy Ogden, State's Attorney Chief of Civil Division Barb Mann, Assistant State's Attorney Joel Fletcher, County Treasurer Marisol Hughes, County Deputy Treasurer Alejandra Aguero, Recording Secretary Angie Patton, and Director of IT Andy Rhodes.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second, Ingram.
Cowart.
I'm looking. I've got 2 hands up here. Mr. McGuire, are you seconding that?
I'm not seconding it. I just wonder why our agenda doesn't have the auditor's report.
No.
No.
We need to have a second to discuss, right, whether we're going into closed session.
You didn't respond to my hand when I raised it during the other business portion before you went to this process, to this part, so I didn't have a chance to discuss it. You're controlling the meeting and not responding to the county board members as they bring up a question. So I don't know how to respond unless I get this opportunity now.
Okay. You wanted to go back to the previous item and say something about the auditor's report?
There is no auditor's report. I don't have a chance to ask many questions. It's not listed on the agenda. I don't understand why it's not, and I don't understand why we don't have those, why our agenda is being changed, and we're not getting the opportunity to even question it.
The auditor did, we just voted on 2 items from the auditor. So are you asking?
Was one of them the agenda, or one of them his report?
There's not a report. There's the 2 items from his office that authorizing purchases and authorizing payment of claims.
And we
There's not a
have an
report.
opportunity to talk. We normally have an opportunity to ask questions of the treasurer or the auditor.
Right. Well, I don't know if I don't think he's on the call well, yes, he is on the call tonight, but if you want to ask questions of him, that would have been the time when we asked for discussion about his report.
Yes, I'd like to know about the audits, whether they've been completed. We've been promised a complete audit.
Are you serious? Okay, Jim, you're behind. I'm surprised your caucus doesn't talk to you. Go to my website. Not only is the audit there in full.
I think the response should be in public so the public can understand that we've been told over and over again, there'd just be a few more documents and the audit would be done. But it hasn't been done, has it?
It's done. It's done. Please go to my website. You know what? I'll forward you the email I gave Jim Goss. I'm sorry you don't communicate.
Well, we could have
Okay.
on the agenda.
That could have been my own announcement. I could have been a prime
Find out why it took so long.
to tell you that the opinion is included in the draft that was posted on my website on May 31st. Everything that you want on there, including the clean opinion, is available on the website. I'll put it in the chat.
No, we're not doing chat.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. So do you have any other questions of the auditor?
No, but I would like the agenda returned to what the format that we had originally.
There's a report to the auditor that's presented to the board at the committee of the whole. This isn't the committee of the whole. We don't have committees this month. So at the next committee meeting, you'll get 2. Okay. Back to in the middle of our other motion that we had. So we were looking for a second for the closed session. Can I get a second for the closed session? Thank you, Eric. Second for the closed session. We need to vote on going into closed session. Roll call, please.
All right, McGuire.
I'm sorry, Diane's raising her hand. Do you want to say something about the closed session?
I have a question. In our email that we received, there was a second Zoom for just the closed session.
Correct.
Can we stay on this one?
No. So when we finish with our vote and the board goes into closed session, you would need to get out of this Zoom meeting and go into that Zoom meeting.
But I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please.
McGuire.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Rector.
Yes.
Storr.
Yes.
Summers.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Thorsland.
Yes.
Tinsley.
Yes.
Woken.
Yes.
Young. Nope, sorry. Cowart.
Yes.
Dillard Myers.
Yes.
Esri.
Yes.
Fears.
Yes.
Furtado.
Yes.
Goss.
Yes.
Ingram.
Yes.
and Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we are getting out of this meeting at this time and going into closed session. First, thanks. Okay, we need a roll call to see who's here.
We don't have quorum.
Sorry, Angie.
I was so excited.
We have quorum. We have quorum.
We have a quorum.
Okay, so we're ready?
We're ready.
All right, Michaels.
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Rector.
Here.
Store.
Here.
Summers.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Thorsland.
Here.
Tinsley.
Present.
Wolken.
Here.
Cowart.
Here.
Dillard Myers.
He's not here.
Okay. Esri.
He's not here.
Fears.
Not
Nope. Furtado.
Here.
Ingram.
As present as I've ever been.
And Rosales.
Here.
No. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
he's here. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
We're done.
We are called back into open session of the county board, and seeing no further business of the board this evening on our agenda, we will adjourn. Thank you all for coming. Bye.
Bye.